they started with a ready-to-grow mushroom kit out of coffee waste. Then they made a self-cleaning fish tank, and now they have ready-to-eat food, like a cereal with 3 ingredients. And they are growing fast, hiring lots of jobs nationwide in Target and Whole Foods and all that good stuff. They are back to the roots, and this is episode number 55.
Welcome to the Food Startups Podcast, connecting the opaque world of food startups.
Nikhil, how are you doing, man? Thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me. I'm doing well. Excited to be on.
Great. I've told everybody about Back to the Roots, but we want to know about you as a person. Where did you grow up?
So I grew up in Southern California and spent most of my childhood down there, and then came up here to UC-Berkley for college, and it's become home since. So it's been an amazing place for the company. And my co-founder Alejandro, he jumped around a little bit more. He was born out in Colombia in South America, and then moved to Michigan, and then out to California. So we both took separate journeys, but both ended up at Cal, and that's where we met and started this thing off.
Cool, man. And tell me, when you were in middle school and high school, did you play sports, music? What were you into?
Yeah, huge sports, huge soccer fan. Grew up playing a lot, still a big fan. Actually, we went out to the World Cup last year, which was a dream of ours. Both Alex and I, when we started the company, we're both big soccer fans, and we said, no matter what, this is when we started this company, it was about 4 years ago. We're like, no matter what, we got to go out there. We can't miss that. And we bought tickets way in advance. So it was on the calendar, and we had no excuses of getting busy with work, and said, and made a trip out there. So yeah, love that. And still a big fan. Played Indian drums called the tabla growing up as well. It's kind of like this hand drums that's really big in Indian music. So grew up playing a lot of that as well.
Great. And so I want to ask you about the World Cup in a bit with Brazil. But okay, so music, soccer, hand drums. You went to Berkeley. Did you enter the business school?
Yeah, we were both actually undergraduate business majors there. And the way Berkeley works is you apply your second year, and it's a 2-year like undergraduate business program. So I was business and political science while I was at Cal. So it was double majored and spent 6 months abroad out in Ghana in West Africa as well, which was a really great experience.
What did you get out of your experience in Ghana?
I probably learned more and grew more through that experience than did most of the things in college. Just incredible chance to immerse myself for an extended period of time in a totally different culture, and had so much, I think, learning just traveling and backpacking throughout, and took a lot of classes while I was out there. And that was actually some of my first forays into sustainability too. I was working on a recycling program out there at the University of Ghana, and it was a really great experience. Learned a lot.
All right, and I just want to press a little bit more. So did you live in a nice apartment, a hotel, a tent? I don't know. I'm sorry. This is just my ignorance, because I've never been to West Africa. Yeah. I want to go, but I just don't know.
No, it's a beautiful, beautiful country. And I had an incredible country. I was on the, the main university in Ghana, and actually one of the main ones in West Africa is the University of Ghana in this town called Legon. And we were staying in the dorms with the other Ghanaian students. So I was just on campus and in the dormitory there, and there was all the craziness that comes with that was definitely there. But man, it is talk about an amazing culture and people who are just so this idea of like family oriented and so open arms, and traveled the entire country. Sometimes with folks, sometimes by myself, just in a bus and backpacking, and always felt really safe, and just had a really good time. And it was really fun. Even looking back now, just thinking, I don't think I realized this when I was there, but it was more so looking back after we started diving into it as well. Just what is sustainability, and what has, the different food cultures. I think so much of that culture is based around food, which was so fascinating. And being able to travel by eating and experiencing different foods in different regions of the country was just awesome.
That's cool. And so you're in Ghana, live it like at a university in Ghana. Now, is it one of those countries where they have more than one official language, with English being one of them?
Yes, that's close way of saying it. So based on the whole colonial past, English is the kind of official governmental language. So that's what kind of unifies a lot of things. But there's so many local kind of native Ghanaian languages, and different regions and parts of the country have different languages. So one of the main ones in the part where I was staying is called Twi, TWI. And it's like a very common Ghanaian language out there. But yeah, English is equally prevalent, and a lot of the government business happens in English.
Awesome. So I actually have a listener. So a lot of times listeners will contact me, and they may be further along or just starting out. And I'm actually going to Fancy Food Show, which is like starting this Sunday. And there's actually someone from Ghana who lives in New York. And in Colombia, it's called guanabana. In India, it's known as soursop. But she's starting to. Do you know what the fruit I'm talking about? Like the big green fruit that has like things inside.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, she's making dried fruit out of that in Ghana, and is going to start. I think this summer she's going to brought over samples, but she's going to bring over her first official shipment. Very cool. You should. I'll be at the Fancy Food Show as well, so a couple of us from our team will be out there. So you should definitely stop by and say hello, and maybe even bring her by our booth. Would love to say hello. Oh, great. What booth number are you guys? Ooh, that is the magic question. I don't know off the top of my head, but I can. Actually, no, it's 5544. Okay, 5544. Cool. Yeah, I'll definitely stop by. Amazing experience in Ghana. That sounds awesome. Now, so I think Alejandro was in the fraternity. Were you guys frat brothers, or how did you guys meet? No, it's funny. We were in the same classes for 4 years, and somehow never connected, never met each other. You know, we still remember each other in different classes. We were, we'll look back now and remember, you think, oh, you were that kid in that class, but we never met. 4 years, same classes, same majors, and it took this random fact that we heard that connected the both of us. We both reached out separately to our professor and asked for more information about mushrooms growing on coffee grounds, and he was like, honestly, I have no idea. I don't remember where I read this, but this other kid asked him about it too. You guys should link up, and that's how we first met. So I feel this is a common theme. There's so many wise professors, right? Because, we're all between 18 and 22, 23 undergrad, and they almost always make suggestions like things you should do. And most of us are not either smart enough or self-aware to value what they're saying and actually take it on. So this professor was, I've told 5,000 students, no one's ever done anything, but Alejandro, meet Nikhil, because you guys are the only two people who have actually asked me about taking the next step and actually making this happen. Yeah, that's kind of how it went. It was a 150 person lecture. And I don't know if he had brought this up before, but it was a 150 person lecture, and we were the two kids who kind of reached out and thought there was something cool about that one sentence. So crazy how you literally, with the job offer set and the things that you think we know what we're going to do, how like one sentence, literally like 3 seconds, the fact that we both happen to be paying attention in class at that one time we're in class, it's just crazy how things come together, So. Yeah, and so you graduated at an interesting times. I graduated 2006, and you guys were 3 years later. So you guys were right after the financial crisis, right? Yep, 2009 was the heart of it. Everything had just happened, 2008, 2009. So, part of that I think is reflected, I think, in this. I think in A, our philosophy in business, and B, in so many ways, the kind of the boon of this idea that you can, make money and do well at the same time. They don't have to be separate, because I think so many of us graduated in that heart of that financial crisis, and they're just like asking ourselves, there's got to be a better way to do this. Like this can't be the way business has to be run, based on exploitation and greed and risking so much for so many people. And I think in so many ways it's been so cool to see the notion of, you can call them, it's so many different names for it, conscious capitalism, social ventures, sustainable businesses, the whole B Corp movement. I'm not sure if you guys have talked about it on the show, but the B Corp movement is incredible to see what's happened in the last 4 or 5 years with that becoming actual law in so many states across the country, where you can, not just be a C Corp or an LLC, you can be a B Corp now, which means you're a benefit corporation, and actually in your bylaws state that
it is as much our responsibility as company owners to look out for the well-being of the environment and other stakeholders, employees, community, as it is to make a profit. And I think it's really cool to see that, and big companies leading the way, like Patagonia and things like that. People are showing you can make a lot of money and do really well and still, do it in a way that helps out the community around you.
All right. So B Corp is really interesting. So I've met with them in Colombia and talked to them in Delaware. We were going to form actually a C Corp. Then we ended up forming another business formation in an LLC, treated as a C Corp in Delaware. And we got the change of the bylaws. And I wasn't aware that it's actually recognized, because the way, at least in Colombia, because I used to have a Colombian company, and in Colombia, you just kind of make all these changes to the, like you said, like to the bylaws or, whatever your official statutes, they have different names for it are. So you're actually a certified B Corp in California?
We are a certified B Corp. We have not yet changed our legal structure. That's something we're still kind of thinking through, working out the best way to do it. But we are certified. We went through the entire process, which is nice to be part of that community.
And have you seen benefits so far? Have you gotten, I'm guessing, all right, so there's two parts to this question. One is you're getting a network, almost like an MBA of like people that are really trying to create social change. And then two, I've seen some B Corps that are working with dried organic fruits, which is something that I work with right now. And just, it seems like they help because of the grading system. You actually highlight a lot of stuff that the consumer would be interested in. When you buy X product, how much does the farmer get? Have you started to develop some type of material that goes with being a B Corp?
Yeah, and in terms of like processes in-house, or like how we document things, or in what way?
Well, okay, so you guys have a very unique business model, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, so we talked about, I mentioned that you guys have the mushroom kit and the self-cleaning fish tank, but you've also started to do ready-to-eat snacks, right? Mm-hmm. So let's just say the stone ground flakes, right? The cereal product. I've noticed some B Corps, right? They'll do something where, okay, if you buy stone ground flakes, for every box bought, what percentage of that final retail price goes to the farmers?
Got it. So I think in that way, impact, it's been really, that's, I think, the most fun thing about impact. I think about food in general, which gets us so love, like this space, this industry, and I think it's so fulfilling for us and our team, is that we really believe that in some way at the highest level, we want to build in sustainability, build in a social mission directly into what we're doing as a company, and not just have it be a secondary, we're going to donate X% to X organization. I think the way you said it is so true, where how do we build in this value propositions and values into every purchase? And for us, I think what gets our team so excited, and us, that we know like every product we're selling is not just revenue. It's literally helping a kid or a family just see food grow. And what's one of the things we believe here is there's nothing more important or impactful than that right now, is like reconnecting families to food and watching them, having them grow it themselves. And, in the case of the cereal itself too, it's fun to be able to talk about, like, with every box sold, we're saving 25%, paper and plastic, because there's no bag inside. And with each one sold, like you said, we're supporting, in this case, California farmers in the San Joaquin Valley, we know exactly how much we're paying for the wheat. We know how much we're paying for the milling. And it's the entire supply chain. We know where our money, we're not just buying a finished product from a co-packer. We know the sugar farmer, the sea salt, the wheat farmer, the mill, and it's really fun to be able to know the impact that each product makes, and I think that's what makes work fun. It's embedding that every single way into our into the products. And even like one thing which is a give back program, which is really it's been really exciting to see it take off, is we have this Grow One Give One campaign, where anyone who posts a photo of a fully grown mushroom kit or water garden or garden in a can, we donate one to a classroom of their choice. And we decided to keep that going on the cereal through our Pour It Forward campaign. Just anyone who posts a photo, with their bowl of cereal, will donate one to a school cafeteria of their choice. So I think from supply chain to what happens afterwards to just how it's produced, I think that's the challenge. I think when developing products now is, can we integrate these values into every piece of that equation, not just X amount of this proceeds go to this charity. It's can the entire value proposition be, helping and the community and doing it, mindfully. I think that's a fun challenge to kind of design products like that.
That's awesome. Now, speaking of design, so I've linked already to the really successful. I mean, you got 250,000 and you were looking for 100, right, to fund it.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like either one or both of you has a good eye for design, because what I've learned is even if you hire a designer, you kind of have to direct a designer. And on each of your product pages, you have a video, a well-produced video, and then you have kind of infographics. On the cereal, you have like the difference between kind of refined flour and grain flour. Am I right? Or is one either you or Alejandro, or are you good at design and directing design?
Design has been something that's been so, I guess the word, we've learned it. We've learned the power of design. We came into the company not knowing anything about design. And it's funny that our first mushroom kit, even after we started selling the fresh mushrooms, I don't know if we shared this earlier, but the first mushroom kit we had was this big basketball-sized, clear bag of fungus that we thought at the time. We slapped a sticker on that we made on like PowerPoint, printed at FedEx, slapped it on the bag. We thought it looked gorgeous. We're like, this is beautiful, right? Here's this mushroom kit, our first prototype, and we were so excited about it, and took that actually to our Whole Foods Northern California buyer, Randy DeCommon, and he was we were talking about the fresh mushroom demand, and he didn't know we had this kit that was coming, and we pull it out at the end of the meeting. It was in a separate bag. Pull it out, as if it's the next iPhone, and just drop it on the table. Like, Randy, here's our next product. What do you think, right? And it's this mushroom kit, and we're waiting for him to be like, "Oh my God, it's beautiful. It looks great." And he's just like, "That's the most hideous thing I've ever seen in my life. Get that off my table. No one's going to put that on their kitchen windowsill." And, he just starts just giving us a lesson. And we, it was a kick in the butt we needed, tell you that much, of just to learn the power of design. And it was a rude but very needed awakening around how important that is. And he's like, "Hey, if you guys want to take this from a couple of farmers markets to something you can actually sell nationwide," he's like, "Go back to your R&D team and figure this thing out and come back to me afterwards." And at that time, we were kind of freaking out because our R&D team was me and Alex sitting out of, Pete's coffee shop, working out of that was just the two of us trying to scratch our heads and figure out what to do next. But slowly started kind of realizing that sunk in, and it's now become absolutely core to our business. And when we take so much pleasure and pride out of trying to lead with this design lens. And I think it's what let us take a little mushroom kit that we could barely sell at a Berkeley farmers market. And now it's, sold nationwide at places from the Home Depot to Nordstrom to Urban Outfitters to, just launched into Target. And it's the same concept, but what's changed is, I think, how we sold it, how we packaged it. And, what's becoming now a cornerstone to us too is this idea of the brand we want to build, where design is one of our key pillars that I think defines back to the roots. And for us, though, the design is this idea of like, we talk about a lot internally. The brand we want to build is the idea of like the Pixar of food. And I think what that means to us is like, it's designed, all our products are designed through a kid's lens, but still have enough sophistication and depth to them where adults appreciate it too. And it's a fun design challenge from a graphics and structural point of view to kind of try to design with that Pixar lens. And but yeah, I'm glad you brought it up, because it's a core of our focus now is design.
Are you familiar with Seth Godin's book, The Dip?
Yeah, I've heard about it. I haven't read it yet, though. I've heard about it, though, people.
I'll tell you in 10 seconds. So it's basically just a lot of things. You have to go through this learning phase where you're hitting plateaus, you're not making any progress, and all of a sudden you figure it out how to do it. It applies a lot to importing food. You just figure out the 3 or 4 things that you need to know. Like the same thing with design. Once you understand, it's more like non-X in the sense that the things that you can't do, like making sure you match the fonts. But once you finally get past that fear, what is good design? I don't even know what that is, right? Which is a huge pain point. But once you finally get it, it looks like a piece of art. It feels really good. So yeah, I think you said it really well with design, and I'm really impressed with that. And it's just like your Kickstarter campaign. I'm sure you guys probably had a nice following there when you did the aquaponics campaign, but there's plenty of Kickstarter campaigns, I believe, that would have been funded if they had a better video, but their video editing is just really, really poor, huge difference.
Yeah, it's I think it's also, I think what drives us in terms now of where we want to sell. Like, I think we've kind of learned too that food specifically is so universal, right? Like, everyone has to eat. Everyone's eating 3 to 4 or 5 times a day, probably. It's, and so food's probably one of the most universal things there are. And I think if we can bring design to it, we really have the chance to build a brand that can speak to a lot of people, a lot of age groups, demographics, and families, and different retailers. And I think that's really exciting to us. And I think all that comes with bringing together for us. It's like, how do we bring together great design, just simple undoing of food ingredients, simplicity is core, and then sustainability is the third big pillar for us. And I think if we can bring those 3 things together to food, there's a chance to do something special here.
I'm going to Target. I have to go to Target today in Rockville, Maryland. Will I be able to find, which products do you think I'll be able to find, if any? I know there's a million Targets, but if it's there.
Yeah, you'll be able to find the water gardens, and they'll be like in the get outside kind of lawn and garden section. The water gardens, the mushroom mini farms, and the gardens in a can are the 3 things that were shipped to Target. And we just shipped out, and those went nationwide to Target. And then we just shipped out the cereal and our new breakfast toppers to just about 200 Targets last week. So we're starting off with a couple hundred Targets, and we'll be expanding throughout the summer and fall with them. But you should be able to find the grow at home products for sure, and then potentially, if that's one of the stores, which I'm not sure if that one's on the list, for the cereal as well.
Cool. Yeah. So I'm actually thinking I wanted to bring back the mushroom kit to Colombia, to my apartment in Colombia, but I don't know if that's going to be allowed if I carry it as like checked baggage. What do you think?
Yeah, well, you can do it. I've taken them to India. Alex has taken many of them to Colombia, so it's definitely it'll be okay.
Okay, perfect. I'm gonna do it then. All right, last question, man. So the way you guys started out, you got so much press because you're doing something amazing. And okay, I would say this because a lot of times the packaging kind of has to speak for the product. The organic mushroom farm, it's obvious in terms of the innovation, right? It makes complete sense. But when I see the stone ground flakes, and I'm not reading carefully, that there's 3 ingredients all made in the U.S. and Florida, like Florida, California. Florida and California, right? And then sea salt from the Bay, which is so cool since you guys are from there or working out of there. I don't know let's just say this. If I had 10 people pick up your product in Target, I mean, how many would be able to, because people don't really read packaging, just like people don't read websites. So I guess I'm angling at the following question. I think it would have been really tough, especially in a category like cereal, to get into this, to start with stone ground flakes if you didn't already have the brand name built from your gardens and your ready to grow product line.
Yes. And I think just, 2 quick answers to how we thought through this. Number one, I think, is absolutely in that cereal is a different beast. We're going from arguably the least competitive, item where, a mushroom kit, it's not a mushroom kit section or aisle in stores. Our competition there is more driving awareness and educating the customer what this product actually is, versus now moving into, a category run by $10 billion industry run by 3 Goliaths and Kellogg's, GM, and Post that have run this thing for the last 100 years. And it's a whole different beast. And I think in that way, it's much more of a volumes game too, just to get into price points that are actually competitive. For us, we had to hit that $4.99 per box price point. I think there, it's been nice to be able to, have relationships with retailers from our other products, because half that battle, if not 80% of that battle, is getting our retailers really excited about it, because they're the ones who are going to place it, promote it in stores, and help us reach that audience. We were able to actually co-develop a cereal with Costco, Whole Foods, and Amazon, which was really fun to be able to kind of work with these retailers and on it, so that, once we launch it, we kind of have their support to start off with. And but the second thing I think too, in terms of this, so much of this for us is going to be um, uh, taste, and demoing. We're really going to be hitting stores, and we would start off here in NorCal, but just really hitting stores and doing a lot of demos. 'Cause at the end of the day, I think we need what separates this cereal is going to be A, people trying it, and B, just kind of understanding and really. I think I think so much fun about kind of innovation is that sometimes, especially when you're almost one step ahead of it, at first people are like, wait, what is that? That's cereal. Doesn't look like it's in a cereal box. But then once you explain it to them, it's so much fun seeing people's whoa, why wasn't that done before? Like, how come, why is every other cereal box have a bag that's unrecyclable and hard to open and hard to seal? Or why does, we're doing demos at Costco sometimes, and you have a mom walking by with a cereal in her cart, and we just ask her, hey, do you know how many ingredients are in that cereal? Maybe it's it's Honey Nut Cheerios or it's Frosted Flakes, and they start looking at it and they're like, there's 26 ingredients in here, and we show her the 3 ingredients this is made from. And I think once you see that, you can't go back, which is the beauty of it. We really feel we have the best product out there in terms of simplicity and taste. And it's one of the things it's going to be a challenge educating families about it. But I think it's, once you see it, you can't, if you can have a 12-month shelf life without preservatives, why would you want 36 months with something that's possibly a carcinogen? You explain that to a mom, there's no way you can go back to buying BHT, filled Frosted Flakes, for instance. So I think it's a challenge, but it's one that we're really excited to do, because I think once we know every person we talk to, they hopefully become an ambassador for it,
Well, Nikhil, I was actually thinking about shelf life. So you're saying that you guys have a 12-month shelf life, and like Frosted Flakes or Corn Flakes probably has a 3-year shelf life.
Yeah, and if you, I don't think, that's stated. So I mean, that's it. Yeah, it's incredible what we put in food these days to make it last forever. I mean, BHT, I think it's just starting to finally become talked about, where it's this really strong preservative chemical that we add to so many cereals that to make it last, or even just the milling process. We've milled wheat now, where we took something that was so nutritious and pure and then stripped out all the good parts of it, where it's kind of just dead white flour, which can last forever. And you go back to the World War II days, and we really started, using this industrialized white flour, and people talk about the benefits or the fact that it's pest resistant, rats won't eat it. And you look back now, you're
that's scary. Rats won't even eat it.
Yeah. It's
flag.
So it's, in so many ways, that's what we want to do with the brand, just undo food and take it back to how it used to be done, but make it more accessible and sustainably designed and, fun for a new generation.
Have you heard of Kamut?
I have, yeah.
And so they're just ancient Khorasan wheat. And that was my big epiphany from that interview, is people that don't pay attention so much to nutrition and health, they'll just be like, all right, gluten-free is good, right? But that's just very oversimplified, because what I've realized is I love the ancient grains, and it's just the modified, new school gluten is what it doesn't sit well with me. But all of those ancient grains that have gluten in it, completely different, 100% different.
Yeah, it's funny because it's a whole relationship around food of, in this case, the farmer, miller, baker. Even with Kamut Khorasan wheat, the wheat is one thing, but then how you mill it, it's second. You can still mill Kamut wheat down to just pure refined white flour, which is left over just pure starch and gluten, pretty much. So, right. So it's so many ways. It's the wheat you're growing, and then also how you're processing that wheat, how you're milling it, and that's what led us to in the cereal to stone ground, stone milling. We fell in love with how did we used to mill wheat when it was all this really close relationship of farmer to the miller to the baker to the customer, and it used to all be stone milled, where 100 pounds of wheat went into a mill and 100 pounds of whole flour came out of it. And it seems so simple, but it's so hard to find that these days. And so that was the big motivation. Let's bring that out to more people.
Awesome. So really, all these products are still solving a problem. So it's not just another quote unquote food and cereal company. You guys are solving that problem. People that don't even realize that gluten-free doesn't really tell the story. How many ingredients in your cereal? What's the shelf life? Where are the ingredients coming from? What are they? Does it have BHT, et cetera, et cetera? And one other theme that I've seen is, you guys have talked about this, like, but the community continues to help you guys out. And even now, I mean, you guys just got $2 million in funding. So I guess you could still maybe say you're a startup, at least on like Silicon Valley terms, but you guys are in Target. You guys are a much bigger company now. At least a lot of people will call you medium sized, but you've managed to maintain that kind of like two lovable college guys, friends that they met in a class theme, and you haven't lost that. So I think that's not always easy to do as you grow.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that. I think it's just a good talk with the community. I think it's two quick things in that, man. I think one, we're still having fun. I think people will see that. That's the number one thing, man. I live with every day. I wake up in the morning. Number one thing people ask, like, what does success look like? And I think for us, it's doing what you love with people you love. And I think if you can answer that question as a yes every single morning, you can't ask for much more. And I think we're still having a blast. Alex and I are having a blast working together. We carpool every single morning. He picks me up at 6:45 and drops me off at 9:15. And for the last 4.5 years, we was the first person I see in the morning and one of the last people I see, and yet we're as excited to do it again the next day. And there's something to be said about really having fun working together and who you do it with. And now we have an amazing team around us as well. So I think that the reason I think there's the same energy to this company is because we're still having as much fun as we did when we started. The community, absolutely, man. I think there's this quote, I forget who said it, but it's this idea of like, it takes a village to raise a child. And I think that is as true for starting a company. It takes a village to start a company. It's not just us or our team, and it's the mentors around us, the customers, and this now some of our investors. We wouldn't be here without that kind of community. And I think really fortunate to be at least, in the area right here in the Bay Area, which is in some ways like this, a hub of food entrepreneurship. And I feel really, grateful to be surrounded in 5 mile radius by some just incredible other food companies who we can learn from. So absolutely, it's been a community that's helped us get here.
Listeners, you guys can find this episode at foodstartupspodcast.com/roots. Again, this is Back to the Roots at www.backtotheroots.com. They're all over the web. So also I'll link to their TED Talks and some of their articles. But if you just search Back to the Roots in Google, you can find so much cool stuff about their company as they continue to grow and innovate. And Nikhil, thank you so much for coming on. Great conversation.
Thank you so much for having me on as well. I really appreciate it.
Hey guys, thanks so much for listening. And as always, if you have any questions or comments, find us online at foodstartupspodcast.com.